Excellent. Well, here we are, what, 2 months later from when we first met?
Yes, 2 months. Yes, in Göbekli Tepe, we just both had that connection, and a WhatsApp popped up that there's Valentina who wants to go, and I had a connection, and we met there. I knocked on the door. Remember when I knocked on the door and said hi?
Yes, it was funny because so let's share a bit about that story. I've and I guess as many of us, I saw that series designed, which was connected about a woman to Göbekli Tepe, and I found it quite fascinating. And then in my meditations, I don't know whether it's my internet or your internet. That's I think my internet's.
I hear you. I can
okay.
hear you.
Yeah, because you were frozen. So in meditations a year after, I started sort of getting the message to go there. And the first time I received the message, I went, "Oh no, it's me, connecting with the series and just wanted to, go and do some tourism." And I sort of didn't connect with the idea. And then the second time round, it came really strongly that there was some work to do in there, and then I needed to be in Göbekli Tepe before the end of August. And then this is how I shared that in that WhatsApp group that we both part of the Josoy sharing, and we connected. And then a week later, we were both greeting each other at a hotel in Urfa, in Turkey.
And
yeah,
my connection, and now that I'm thinking about it, it was in July, during the week of Mary Magdalene, leading up to her feast day, because it was that I was doing a 9-day novena. Remember that of the divine feminine. And this meditation, I was just cutting fruit, and these things don't happen. Whoa, what's coming over me? And I sat down and I went to this place where I knew it was Göbekli Tepe because I had seen some of the process to happen. So I thought, oh, underneath I could see the golden egg, and underneath there's lots of beautiful water. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I just carried on with my life and knew that I would go there. And then out of the blue, I don't hardly check the Yosoi because there's so many messages, but I just checked it that day, and there you were. So
yeah.
I feel what I learned from this is everything matters. Every step we take, every breath, every encounter, every interaction matters. And we get to listen and recognize the signs because we are being guided. So that's what I learned from this. Because look what's unraveled since then.
Yeah, there was. And also then, well, the experience itself on that first visit to Göbekli Tepe, I think it was very intense for both of us. For me was, I just seen a hummingbird that I haven't seen before.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful.
And I guess that happens to everyone when we start connecting to places that we have like soul memories. We get into those places and we just feel like home. And that was my experience in Göbekli Tepe. Just arriving in there and I started crying like crazy. I haven't ever experienced that in any other place before. And hearing my guys saying everything that you resonated with about this place, because I have been, prior to traveling, I've been like watching different videos about what was about Göbekli Tepe. And there was this one video where they were connecting GOBEKLI TEPE with the second Eden garden. And the moment I arrived in there, my guys were saying, yes, that was part of the truth, and you were part of it, not in the time of Adam and Eve, but very much when this started establishing itself as a place of exchange of wisdom and communication to humanity at that point in time. And one of the things I received in that download was the Akashics had been blocked, yes, of this place, and they were showing me how once it was all green and with a lot of water, and then became desert, and that retrieve of water was in a way sort of pausing the memories, yes, because the water sort of keep the memories. So retrieving the water was like pausing the memories of that place until humanity was ready once again to reconnect. And everyone that is receiving the call to go there, in a way, what we're doing is like we are reconnecting a frequency of those memories. So I received, when I was there, is like open the Akashic records, but I understand it's not the whole of the Akashic records, but are the Akashic records that are very much tuned to the frequency that I am connected with, the one that I am vibrating, the one that I'm grounded to Mother Earth and receiving and giving information. You know, I understand, and we all very much are using this physical body as a channel of communication. Yes, and we all have our own frequency. And when we go to places and we feel that connection, is that the memories in our cells and even in our causal body is clicking, is activating that frequency.
Yes.
So that was very much sort of my experience. But then you and your connection with water, that I'll let you share that, because.
So what came to me when you were just sharing and you spoke about the water, and when there was the water there that was flowing, it was moving the memories. The water plays a very important role in these places. And we'll talk about it later, but I was reflecting on the Sea of Galilee connected to the Jordan River and the Dead Sea. And that whole ecosystem is serving a purpose of transmuting what's going on in the lower chakras. And without it, the hormones of the area are out of balance. So imagine GOBEKLI TEPE as flowing in water, and then it dried up. So when I came, this connects so beautifully, and it's so beautiful how we get it like an intuition, and we go, and we don't really know, but then it continues to unfold. Because when I was getting ready, I said, okay, what do I bring? And I just heard water, and I'm like, which one? I had some water that I collected, and they said all of it. So I started going through all my stuff and finding all the water. I've been collecting water since 2016, and from sacred sites. And I had 5 continents represented of water. So anyone out there who's from Australia and Antarctica, if you go to GOBEKLI TEPE to the wishing tree, bring some water. From Mount Kailash in India, the Ganga, Patagonia, the US, all kinds of water. So I brought it all. And again, we didn't really know what we were going to do with it. But when I arrived, and you were connecting so emotionally to the depth, to the pain, to the memories, to something, and I felt very joyful. I was like the opposite, which is polarities, right? And I just wanted to sing to the stones. So I start walking around, and singing, and like just singing in joy to be reconnected again. That was my initial memory. Until then, we went to the wishing tree. So then this is where the process started with the water. And I felt, well, I'm always looking for a place to like offer and to do things, but we always have guards to deal with, right? So
Yeah.
the guards were like, oh, I really want to go and do all of this at that main stone, but the guard was there, and I thought this is not going to work. So we found the wishing tree, which is a
Okay.
beautiful
In this case
tree.
here, we're talking about human guards. No, no spiritual.
Human, no,
Yeah,
no
because
guardians, no
because
guardians
also
of the
then
land. These are like
we
human guards with guns that are
that were following us. No, because usually also then
looking at their
we have to deal.
phone and looking at these ladies.
Yeah, no, because sometimes we also have to deal with the land guards, with the spiritual guards of the place. But in this case, it was the human type.
Yes, which we did. I remember when we were driving there, we had asked permission of the guardians of the land, of the elementals, that, you know, may we enter into this sacred space. We come with positive intentions, and we come with water. So and the day before, like, this is unknowingly, we were in Urfa, walking around a little bit, and there is the cave of Abraham. So where Prophet Abraham had spent time. It's a very sacred place of prayer, and there's a mosque there. And of course, there's water inside. So we just took a bottle of water, right? We just filled up our bottle, our plastic bottle, and we took it. We didn't really know why, but we just had it with us. So when we started the process of the water, I remember kneeling down next to the tree and just pouring each bottle of water, you know, I would say Mount Kailash, and I poured it. And there was a little spot by the tree that welcomed all the water. And it was so interesting, as the little bottle went in, it would go in the earth. And then the other bottle went in, and it would go in the earth. And then you had put the lavender, you covered it with the lavender seeds. And what I felt this represented, the water is the memory. So water carries so many memories, so much information. So here we are at the 0 point of, of one phase of creation. Because what I had learned along the way, there are a few 0 points. You know, Mount Moriah in Jerusalem is also one foundation stone of creation, but Göbekli Tepe is another one, offering the memories, offering the information, the pain, the joy, offering everything of humanity from
The
5 continents.
experience from that, yeah, from what it came, from what it was, from what evolved from that 0 point. You know, that remember when you were doing that, we looked at the canopy, the roof of Göbekli Tepe, and from that point of view, it looks as an infinity. And in a way, it was shown that, you know, we started there, we went through a cycle, and we were back reporting. And in this case, we were both reporting from also our own experiences as human.
Yes.
Because we both have been there, but not in physical form, you know, just bringing light and support and love to this project, which was humanity. But here we were again, but this time saying, hey, we are the result of it.
Yes, we are the result of it. And the water I'm offering is the water of myself as well. Like, because we're all connected, and the emotions and the pain, and what we come down to is the loss of innocence. The loss of innocence, when all of us, every human being on this planet, what point did we, when we were a child, have we lost the innocence of being a child? What happened that shook us, that said, oh, this world is a hard place? We all have that. We all have that. So all of that water, all of me, all of you, you know, we left that there. And then we connected so beautifully to the water with Abraham. So then we walked around a little bit back to go to the site, and we come back to the tree.
Distract the guards.
And it was funny. And when we were all done,
I
Remember,
think
we
it's
were
worse.
done, and then they came. They were coming to kick us out 2 hours later, but we were finished.
I think it's worth sharing that that is a place that is not yet very much an international touristic spot. So it's there are families with grandmas and grandchildren going to visit, and they just go around, maybe 15, 20 minutes max, and they leave. And we spend there 5 hours. We were walking,
Right.
and we could hear the cameras following us. So they must have been really intrigued, these crazy women at noon that was really hot with these little bottles of water and chanting and crying and what's going on here?
And then they eventually did come, but we were finished. We just finished. We had the bottle of water from Abraham's cave, and we had put our intentions in the water for a future humanity. Like, what does this future look like? And then we poured the whole bottle around and around and around and around the tree, and then the guards came.
Yeah. And in that point, I think it's because that was the second time that I received the same message or a reminder. The first time was in Egypt, and visiting the Sphinx. I went to connect to the Sphinx, and the message I received straight away was, it's now time to release the past and understand that you are the ancestors of the new humanity. So the focus has to be in you, in your emotions, in your thought, in your actions. Yeah. Because everything that we're doing in our lives is then creating the foundations, yes, for that new humanity.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when we were doing the second round of water, the message came again, is release the past. You have done the report. We were also then laughing with Pam a lot because we both had been project managers. So we were receiving a lot of information about what we were doing there. We were like reporting back to sponsors how the project went, lessons learned. And in a way, once we've done that part, they say, well, now we start in a new cycle, a new phase of the project. Yes, but you are in physical form. You are there. You have experienced everything that free will and polarity have generated, have created in humanity. So from that lesson, from that learning, is that what is that you want from a new humanity? And it was really beautiful how then we both started expressing out loud, from our own experiences. And I was laughing because I was saying, I understand I'm quite new in physical form, whereas you've been here many, many incarnations, that your expression was so beautiful. Your expression was very much a very motherhood, like in what that you wanted to for new humanity. Whereas for me, I think it was more Aquarian, connecting to better social systems and finances and education and but I guess it was also, that was perfect because we were both coming.
It's all perfect.
Yeah, very much sort of complementing what we were doing, how we were supporting each other, and I guess we were both fully open channels, just allowing self to express through this configuration and through your configuration, and just each of us doing our part of the work.
Yeah. And I remember you had the bottle, and then I had the bottle, and we're both expressing into the water what we feel, and it covered the whole spectrum. And then I thought, well, what else is there? Like this is like saying what we want the future to look like. So anything we forgot, the mind comes back. You're fully channeling and you're fully open, and then the mind comes back. Did I forget something?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I think this
But
is also then an invite to everyone to allow themselves to think, more to think, to feel the new humanity, to feel what it's going to be like. It's applying the law of attraction and manifestation at humanity.
that's a great point, because if we look at what's going on in the world today, this is all past. It's all past resentment, and it's past anger. It's from the past, and it's so hard for human beings to let go of that. As we've experienced ourselves with our past traumas and our past, the life, everything that we've experienced. And it does take a lot of healing and a lot of recognition and a lot of love of the subconscious, of what's hidden. Like, it's what is hidden within our beings that causes this pain. And right now it's just being expressed in the world. And because it hasn't been healed, it's expressed as hatred and as violence. So when we can envision a new humanity and a future, then we can change the timeline. And when we can become that new version, then we can shift the timeline.
We are walking that timeline. We're starting to walk that timeline ourselves. So the moment that we start manifesting, experiencing a timeline, that timeline then has a physical form. Therefore, then it's easier for others to start aligning to that timeline. Yes, because all timelines, they're infinite timelines, they're possible. But are the ones that receive the thought and the emotion and then the actions, the one in a way like they solidify, like they are created, they get shape in physical form.
Yes, when the thoughts and the emotions, even like a past pattern, like something we keep doing in our lives, because the thoughts and the emotions are so strong, it solidifies that timeline.
Exactly, that's how we keep the unconscious collective. So we have activated in 2022 a new grid, yes, that can hold a conscious collective. But that grid is just a grid, it's just a network of cables. Okay, etheric cables, but cables at the end. So it's just the hardware. But how we populate information is from thoughts, emotions, actions. And this is when, and maybe this is a good starting point to start talking about the end of your experience and see whether we need to go through the middle as well. That the collective has been, configured for, it is sort of auto-configured from what the humanity as whole experience. Yes. Mm-hmm. And we know very much in the last few years we have experiencing fear and anxiety and worry about the future. And so those are the timelines that have maybe the strong setup in this planet. But we are activating other ones that are more aligned to what the new consciousness, the new humanity will be linked like. But it's from us that we understand how reality works to decide which one do you want to fit. And yesterday, when we were catching up and we were talking, even when we feel like the sorrow and the sadness for all the souls that are experiencing war, we are feeding the mainstream timeline.
So we are feeding. So I'm just envisioning this timeline in this grid that's very strong. The matrix. It's
Yeah,
very well formed, and
yeah,
we are, all of us are so used to this matrix. So when we feed the sadness and the anger and the hate, and then we're feeding the timeline of the current structure,
because
right?
it's polarity. Exactly. Because that matrix, one of the um, key configurations was polarity, experience polarity. So we have been experiencing polarity within ourselves through different lives. Yeah. So in one, we fully connected to hatred. In the other one, we fully connected to love. Yeah. So we have been experiencing polarity and then closing. But within one timeline, one life that we're experiencing, that are fractal, which is this incarnation, this physical body, is experiencing in a specific time and space. We're also experiencing polarity because that is the main configuration of that matrix. Yes. So
Yes.
everything that calls adaptation, that activates us, activates polarity.
Which is why the separation. I mean, polarity to me is, it's duality, it's separation.
Yes.
It's the concept that you and me are separate. It's the concept that the dome of the rock, Mount Moriah, the foundation stone is outside myself, that I have to build a physical presence on this rock because that's the only place that I can contact God. Like, that is all separation, that's all polarity, that's all duality, right?
Yes.
And that's how the matrix, like the current structure that we are living in, we can't see this matrix because it's geometric grids, but that was created based on polarity.
Exactly. Yeah. It was I don't want to say it was an experiment, but it feels very much it was an experiment. So I guess everything in the universe is like source wants to experience
Yes.
itself and said, okay, I'm going to create this universe with this set of parameters, and off we go. And I'm going to be free will because every expression of that universe is an expression of myself. But let's see how the expression evolves. And then I'm going to create this other universe, different set of parameters, up to the point that are infinite, because self is infinite. Yes, so the parameters are infinite. But once we start sort of connecting and understanding that link, that connection, we then understand also then that we have been acting, living and experiencing under a set of parameters. And recognizing that we source is recognizing also then that we can set ourselves free from those parameters.
Which is when we start, let's say we start on the spiritual path. The spiritual path is just to know thyself. So when we start on the path of to know thyself, and usually many of us, you hit rock bottom, something happens where you're like, I can't live my life this way. There has to be something more. And when you start to question what else is there, then you start to seek and you enter onto this path. And we are fortunate to experience that direct connection to source. And when we visit, for me, when I visit the sacred sites, which I have learned over the years, going to such places on earth, the connection is maybe a little bit more direct. The intentions of the people that have gone to these places, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Temple of Isis, all of these places, for me, that there's less friction maybe. So that connection is a little bit more direct. And once we experience, wow, then we know there's more to this reality than this matrix that we've been living in.
And I would like then to make a pause, because one of the things I've seen in people is that we have to understand that the reason why we feel these places a bit more, because energetically they're more open, and connected to source. And also then because we had memories from other incarnations where we had a really strong connection to source in that physical place. However, sometimes what I've seen happening is that people start this quest of all those places in search of connection to source. And those places, really what they are, there are hints. It's like, as you're feeling here, this is how you can feel every day if you remain in your center. Yeah. It's the same when I'm giving sessions and people feel so beautifully, and it's like, and I said, that's you. It's not me. Valentina doesn't have the power to, I was here supporting you for your higher self, to reconnect with you and for you to experience your true self.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's up to you to remain in that state. So either is the physical place, or is the healing session, or is the conversation, but what you're feeling is yours. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to feel it.
Yeah. You said that so beautifully, so beautifully.
Yes, yes. And I think it's so important because we're so used to that, as others can harm us, others can fix us, or others can heal us. Yes. So then I'm then also supporting polarity. I am the victim. This is the victim program. Someone will do harm, and then I need to go and find the master, the guru, the healer that will do good for me. And it's like, no, you get to experience the harm and the healing because you have both in you a polarity of an expression of yourself. And for me, is the most important part of us as bridges, as transition humanity, because that's what I feel, that we are the transitioners. Yes, we are the one holding, is to recognize the polarity and say, wow, that was all my creation. That was all my creation. And that war happening there is my creation too. Otherwise, I wouldn't be perceiving the war. And everyone will say, oh, well, no, but there's no way you cannot perceive it. It's on the news everywhere. Yes, but isn't a reality in a timeline I choose to experience. So it's my creation.
Yes. So then we ask, what part of us has the hatred? What part of us has anger? What part of us feels broken? What part of us is suppressed? And it's maybe not the magnitude of what we're seeing on the news, but we have that also within us because we're watching it happen. Which then brings us back that we are all connected, and we are all the same. And it's this dance of the polarity, and what's being played out right now. I like to, and we talked about this in GOBEKLI TEPE, the Vesica Pisces. The two circles that intertwine, and what's being played out now, the extremes on the outside of the circles. Yet there is within the point of balance and equilibrium and harmony. And we get to experience within our own lives the extremes on both sides. And I feel the journey is to do the healing, to connect with people, to go to the sacred sites, to come back to the center point within ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we realize that it's not outside ourselves, like you said so beautifully before, Valentina, I'm just facilitating the session. What you're feeling is you, and what I'm experiencing is me, this connection. Oh, we sit in meditation and it's so beautiful and you think it's someone else. and you think it's source and you think it's the divine mother. No, it's me. It's my higher self. It's me. It's always been me. And that's when we come back to the center point, right? With that realization.
And this is where we are called, all humanity is called, of course, then we all experiencing the different layers or levels of consciousness. And like yesterday I was talking to my mom, and she's very worried. There have been a few things that has been happening around our family, and she's saying, I feel, you know, I feel so tired, but also then with a lot of fear and anxiety. And I said to her, well, tired, your body needs to rest, but in regards to anxiety and fear, just allow whatever is happening to be, because your anxiety and your fear, they're only keeping the whole body in tension, making you more tired. Yes, but it's not solving the problem. Yes, someone broke into your house. Horrible. Yes, but you remaining in that state of fear and anxiety is not protecting you from another event like that. Actually, quite the opposite. It's calling, because subconsciously anything you're thinking is, you know, I'm going to be broken in again, I'm going to be broken in again, and we're going to be broken in again. Although you might say, oh, please, I hope that won't happen to me again. That won't happen. But subconscious only understand concepts. It doesn't understand the yes or the no that you put in front. Just concepts. So if you say to subconscious, I'm interested in this concept, subconscious will create a reality that makes you experience the concept. So she was saying, but those things come and there's nothing I can do. And I said, well, you can, but it's a decision. But because we are so used to, for the subconscious to drive how we feel, there is a big portion of humanity that still feels that there is nothing they can do with what they feel. That is set on stone. And I have just experienced that uncomfortness. Yeah, I have to experience feeling the anxiety, not being able to sleep, not being able to rest because of the fear of this happening again. And this is how we feel. We feed the collective. And that is the collective again. That is the mainstream reality that we are projecting. So once I understand that I am part of that reality, I will go, okay, I understand a bit how this works. So what can I do from my own little grain of salt to change things? Yes. And this is how I start taking action in whether I'm feeding those emotions, I'm still plugged into the program of fear, anxiety, separation, polarity, or I'll say, well, I'll do something better with my energy, because I understand now that my energy is the exchange money for this experience. Yeah, so where I really want to give my energy to.
So where is over and over and over and plugging in to the fear and the suffering, we can when I returned from Jerusalem, I did watch the news for a couple of days, so I wanted to feel what was going on. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to feel it, but then I chose to disconnect from it, because it wasn't helping my energy. It wasn't helping me to hold that space for the connection to my heart. Because I feel only with the connection to the heart, with the empathy, with the love, can we then create and tap into that new matrix, that new grid.
Yeah. And that happened.
So I'll pause with that thought.
Yeah. And that happens both at micro and micro level. I was the other day I was working with someone whose dog died hours after we had a session. And it seems because during the session we had, we knew that dog was her dog was very ill, very old. And I started doing some reiki and some healing to the dog and also then to the house, because the moment I connected with the dog, I started feeling sort of dense energies in the house. And then the dog died that night. But the most beautiful experience was that when the dog was dying, she was connecting with the soul of her dog. She had that dog for 14 years. It was all the family in this room in a hospital in the US. And she started feeling that the soul was leaving the body. And she created this channel of light to support that soul that has helped her during 14 years, because that was incredible. And she connected with the state of wholeness and love and gratitude, to the point that then the dog was declared dead. But everyone else was crying. Yes, and of course it was heartbroken. And they were looking at her. It was her husband, her children, saying, "What the hell, man? How can you be smiling and in the state of peace? We just lost whatever." And then we were talking the following day of that event, and I said, I felt so connected, so in peace, so that it was perfect. But opening my eyes, seeing my family's reaction, this guilt activated me, because I wasn't crying, because I wasn't feeling the pain. And then I went into the state of really confusion, because I knew that she left in this perfect state. I was holding her, I was holding the space, and she was fine. So we were talking about that as well, is that there is this program that we have to suffer for everything, even when we lose a loved one. So imagine about war, all this. So if we don't feel the pain, then the guilt activates in us. It's like, because it's, you're not normal. Yeah. But it's layers of programs and programs and programs and programs and programs. Being on a state of self, there are no programs. There are no programs. It's not that you need to be programmed. It's not that you have to do neuroscience. It's nothing. You are. And when you are, you see the beauty of every experience, because it's part of your creation. It's not that you're stuck in that creation. You are creating that for yourself to experience an aspect of polarity. So we have the recording of experiencing, the suffering from death. But now we have the chance to experience holding the love and the gratitude, yes, of that moment of death. So that's when we start sort of closing the gap of polarity.
And coming into that center point of the Vesica Piscis, which is a good segue into my experience when I was in Jerusalem. because that's what I got to experience from 1 second to the next, was the extreme high and the extreme low. But so I'll start in the Dead Sea. So I was in Jordan. After Göbekli Tepe, I made my way to Ephesus.
We said goodbye at the time.
Yes. It's like, well, I'm not sure where I'm going next. Well, I was going to Ephesus, but after that, then Egypt, all this other stuff opened up, and I'm crossing the Red Sea like Moses and going up through Jordan, and didn't realize when I arrived in Jerusalem that it was the Sukkot, the week of the festival celebrating Moses. And yeah, anyway, like we just have to follow our heart, and we'll be definitely guided. So I'm floating in the Dead Sea in Jordan, which then I'm looking over at the Holy Land into Jerusalem as the sun is setting, and it's so divine. It's so gorgeous. And I thought, oh, I had a meditation when I was in the Dead Sea, which I connected to the temple of Isis, and I connected to an activation that happened when I was there with the group, with a little bit of contention between the male and the female. So that came up, and I was like, what's this about? And then there was this red being who appeared, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'll go to the Temple Mount. I'll go to Jerusalem, but how am I going to get there? Logistics, I have a rental car and I got to cross a border. Like, you got to help me out here. And so it was clear that I needed to go to the Temple Mount. And for those who don't clearly understand, I'll 20 seconds. There's something called Mount Moriah. There's a foundation stone. When the earth was created, there was a stone, and this is called Mount Moriah. And here is where Abraham came. Abraham, the prophet that we had the water from in Göbekli Tepe. Abraham come here, and he was going to sacrifice Isaac, and God said, no, don't do it. So it's a very holy place. And it used to be a Jewish temple, and then that was destroyed. And then they built another one, and that was destroyed by the Romans. And for a long time, I don't know what it was, maybe nothing, and then it was a mosque. For a long time it's been the Dome of the Rock. But this whole mount, really, all that aside, with religion, it is the foundation stone. It is a very peaceful place. So I felt that I needed to go walk around on the 0 point of creation. So I cross the border and I get
Why
there.
not?
And as I'm in Jerusalem, why not? You know, and I'm not thinking about anything. It's fine. Everything's fine. And I was like, tomorrow I'll be in Jerusalem having lunch. And I created it, and I was having lunch. So, but I spent the first days at the Western Wall with the Jewish people. They were praying, like thousands of people, and I'm just walking around them. And then I go in the tunnels. So underneath Jerusalem are tunnels. It's this layer cake of a city. And I'm deep in the tunnels. And even I took 2 tours, and there were no tickets, but there was, of course, one for me on one day and one the next day. And I took take 2 of them because the one wasn't enough. I was like, well, I'll do it again because it's a different tour, and I wanted to see the different stone. So the second tour, I'm like in the basement of the basement, like really on the original street. And wherever I go, I sing. I like love the stones. I sing, I hum, and I do an imprint. So it's an imprint that's been with me since this past spring when I was in South France at Mary Magdalene's place. And it's an imprint, and it's a prayer. And basically, I ask the balance that I call the red ruby ray of love and the blue light of the divine, where the male and the female meet in the center of the heart, asking for that harmony, that in the balance in the center. And it expanded to infinity, as above, so below, as within, so without, where the alpha and the omega meet. It's expanded in the last couple months, but it's a harmony, it's a balance. And I do it wherever I can when no one's looking. I'm like, and usually I have nard oil, so I'll do it with oil. So I'm in the like subconscious of Jerusalem, just doing what I'm called to do, coming out to the surface, and there are the Jewish people, the beautiful people.